Hello everyone. Today we will start a bit earlier. We have almost half away. We have crossed almost 200 aphorisms. Today we will start from aphorism number 200, and altogether aphorisms we have been left with is only 94 for say fifth edition and 91 for sixth edition. So we will try and complete our syllabus from organ of medicine as soon as possible. From next onward, some topics from philosophies we will try and cover in these classes. So aphorism number 200. Uh, had it still been persistent to guide the internal treatment, means we have left an aphorism number 199, that what is the benefit of external manifestation, what is the benefit of external, uh, if there is external disease outside, it will guide you to your cure. It will guide you to the cure, that complete disappearance. We have told in the last class that the color of the skin should match of that site where the eruption has happened. When you can tell that the cure has been done when the color of the skin of that portion is matching with the other part of the, I think my voice is echoing, with the other part, color of the uh, color of the skin of that affected part is matching with the other part of the body. Okay, so then only you are telling that it has been, the cure has been completed. So this is there to guide you. Had it still been present to guide the internal treatment, the homeopathic remedy for the whole disease might have been discovered. And had that been found, the persistence of the local affection during its internal employment should have shown that cure was not yet completed. Okay, underline this. Persistence of the local affection during its internal employment would have shown that the cure was not yet completed. Underline this. But were it cured on its seat, this would be a convincing proof that the disease was completely eradicated. The disease has been removed from its seats without any external application. That indicates the cure has been completed. Okay, this would be convincing proof that the disease was completely eradicated and desired recovery from the entire disease was fully accomplished, and an inestimable, indispensable advantage to reach a perfect cure. So what is the advantage of eruption lying on the surface? Only advantage, number one advantage is that it is guiding you to the perfect cure. If you are able to remove this external disease with your internal medicine, that means, and the whole disease, the external manifestation have been eradicated, that means what? The whole disease have been eradicated. Okay, so this is the number one benefit. Number two benefit is that as long we are reading aphorism number 200, okay, from organon of medicine. So this, whenever this, as long as this external disease is present, what it is doing actually, it is quelling, it is cooling down, it is cooling down the disease itself. Okay, what is the most harmless area of our body? Most harmless area of our body is skin, where if the vitality is strong, again it depends upon the vitality where it is going to send the disease. Okay, when the vitality is strong, it will try to send up the disease at the surface. Okay, when the vitality is not that strong, it will try to send the disease to next harmless organ. Okay, it may be liver, it may be kidney, it may be ovary, but where the disease can less harm the individual. Okay, so number one advantage of the external eruption, disease on the external surface, was it was going to guide you to reach the perfect cure. Okay, number two advantage was that as long as this is on the surface, The internal disease is being cooled down. It is not bursting out. That is what have been written in aphorism number 201. Aphorism number 201. Can you read, please? Can anyone read it for us? Okay. Aphorism number 201. It is evident that, now I am reading, hear it. It is evident that, have your textbook with you, Organon textbook. We are just going through aphorisms from this textbook. It is evident that man's vital force, when encumbered with a chronic disease, it is evident that man's vital force, when encumbered with a chronic disease, which it is unable to overcome by its own power, instinctively, in the sixth edition, leave it, by its own power, adopt the plan of developing a local melody on the external part. Okay, vital force is what, doing what? If it is unable to eradicate the disease, it is trying to come in agreement with the disease and try to expel the disease on the external part to the least. If it is unable to expel the disease to external part, it will expel the disease to some next most harmless organ. This is we called journey of disease. Okay, what happened here is the vital force, this is individual. Okay, disease have been affected, impermeated. If you go through previous lectures, we have talked about journey of disease. It will impermeate the whole organism. Next, it will do what? It will try and make the disease at the outer surface. Okay, try and give disease. It is entering into the agreement with the disease that, okay, I'm not able to eradicate you. I am just giving you a place to reside. Just reside there, just be there, don't disturb the organism. Okay, it will give a place for the disease to reside. Okay, be it on the skin, be it on some other organ as pathology. Okay, clear? Now next is adopt the plan of developing a local melody on some external part solely for this object. What is the object? That by making and keeping in a disease state this part which is not indispensable to human life. Not indispensable to human life means not necessary, less harmless, more less harmful means more harmless. Okay, it may thereby silence the internal disease. This was the reason of the vital force to enter into the agreement with the disease. Okay, with otherwise threatened to destroy the vital organs. Okay, and that it may thereby, so to speak, therefore transfer the internal disease to the vicarious local affection, and as it were draw it tighter. The presence of the local affection thus silence, underline this line, presence of local affection. This is next important point. Presence of local affection is doing what? Presence of local affection, the silence for a time the internal disease, though without being able either to cure it or to diminish it materially. Okay, it is not curing it, not diminishing the disease, but doing what? Silencing the internal disease. Okay, can you give me some example from modern medicine where there is a relation between external manifestation and internal manifestation? Can you give some examples from modern medicine? Can you give some example? प्रज्ञा, कोई example आ रहा है दिमाग में? Pragya, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, any example you can give from modern medicine where there is a relation between external manifestation and internal disease? No? So, have you heard about rheumatic heart disease? Rheumatic heart disease? It is a disease. It is a disease. In the literature, you will find. Okay. In the disease, in the literature, you will find that rheumatic heart disease is a disease which lick the joint and bite the heart. Which lick the joint and bite the heart. Okay. Means joint affection traveled down to heart. Okay, number one example. Number two, have you heard that asthma is related to eczema? Asthma is related to eczema. Asthma quelled, eczema comes. Eczema quelled, asthma comes. Okay, have you heard about throat infection? Throat infection traveled down to kidney. Throat infection was there. Okay, and from there streptococcin toxin affected the kidney and the child is suffering from nephrotic syndrome now. So this is external symptoms going to internal disease, going to form an internal disease. Okay, so these are the examples. So this is not all talks in homeopathic philosophy are not in on the ear, are not air castle that ये बकवास है, ऐसा नहीं होता है, ऐसा होता है. There are evidences of this that external symptoms disappears and internal symptoms comes out. Okay, so these are the examples. Now what these external symptoms were doing there, they were trying to quell the disease, internal disease. Now two things can happen here. These external symptoms can naturally be suppressed. Okay, that licking the joint and biting the heart, this can happen naturally. Okay, naturally means during the course of disease. Okay, and this can happen with your treatment also, with allopathic treatment or with your treatment. Like asthma suppressed with allopathic ointment, what eczema suppressed with allopathic ointment, what is going to do? Asthma. And it is not necessary that it will produce asthma. Evidences in modern medicine that eczema is going to produce asthma, but we know that the suppression of eczema may affect lung, may affect kidney, may affect liver, depending upon the susceptibility of the organism. Okay, if your lungs are weakened, then your lung be affected, your lung will be affected. There are priority fixed in the mind of vital force that what are the priorities of my organ, or what are the organ which are weaker in sequence. So the skin was there, now you suppress the skin eruption. Where it will go? It will go according to vitality, which organ is more weaker. It may settle down to the liver, it may settle down to the kidney, it may settle down to the lungs, depending upon the susceptibility of that organism. But evidences in the modern medicines are that this eczema is going to produce asthma, but we know that this suppression of eczema may produce epilepsy itself. Okay, that cupramed, open cupramed from Allen's keynote, and you will see that poorly developed exanthema, epismel, poorly developed exanthema causes kidney disease, poorly developed exanthema causing epilepsy. These suppressed eruption may cause any other internal disease. Okay, so be very cautious when you are treating joint disease. Okay, when you are treating diseases on the skin, if you are suppressing it, it will going to produce some internal disease. Now open Kent's lecture, open Kent's lecture number 35, last page. where Kent is discussing about 12th observation. What is 12th observation? We know 12th observation is symptoms going into the wrong direction. What should be the direction of the symptom? From internal to external, isn't it? Direction of the symptom should be from uh, internal to external. Okay, that is what Herring's law of cure is. Okay, so Kent's 10th observation, 11th observation, and 12th observation is now. New symptom, we will discuss this. Old symptom appearing, and number 12 is wrong direction. What is wrong direction? Symptoms going from external to internal. Symptoms, what should be the direction of the symptom? Less important organ, more important organ to less important organ. Okay, from internal to external, this should be the direction of the symptom. But if the symptoms are going into the wrong direction, what does this indicate? This indicates that you are suppressing. Okay, now open Kent, last few line, chapter number 35, last few line. Eruptions upon the skin affections in the extremities are good sign. Now before there also, when disease go from center to circumference, now there was a network issue. Now I am reading it, just search it. Okay, there is a network issue again and again. Sorry, I hope I'm audible now. When disease go from center to circumference, going out from center of the life, out from heart, lungs, brain and spine, out from interior upon the extremity, it is well. So it is that we find most gouty patients get along best when their finger and toes are in the worst condition. To prescribe for this and see the heart symptom grow worse is a most uncomfortable state of affairs, for it is attendant with a gradual downward tendency. Okay, if you are prescribing for joint disease, be very cautious. It should not suppress it. It should cure it. It should not suppress it. If you are going to have a gouty patient, relief of his knee pain, but now complaining of a pain in the pericardial region, what does indicate? Disease is traveling inside, that is going into the wrong direction. I remember eruptions of the skin affection in the extremities are good sign. I remember one time I was discharged from a violent old woman with a quite considerable amount of Billingsgate, who told me that when she called me should walk about, and now her ankle was swelled up with rheumatism so that she could not move. That patient got another doctor but soon died. There is a great danger in selecting a remedy on external symptom alone. That is selecting a remedy that corresponds only to the skin, ignoring all the symptoms that a patient may have, ignoring the whole economy, okay, and general state of the patient. Because it is true that remedy that is related to skin alone may drive in that skin disease and cause it to disappear while the patient himself is not cured. Such a patient will remain sick until comes back again or locates in other place. Okay, so this was the benefit of external, manifestation. Okay, now come back to the aphorism. The local affection, however, is never anything else than a part of general disease, but a part of increased in all in one direction by the organic vital force, and transferred to a less dangerous external part of the body in order to allay the internal element. Underline this, why it is happening. in order to allay the internal ailment. Okay, but as has been said by this local symptom that silence the internal disease so far from anything being gained by the vital force toward diminishing or curing the whole malady. Means it is not actually diminishing or curing the whole malady, but it is just silencing the malady, internal malady. It is just silencing the internal malady. Okay, now remember one thing. We have read this in H.A. Roberts. While we were dealing with H.A. Roberts, we had read this. The psoric manifestation, problem with the psoric manifestation is that it is easily suppressible. Okay, but psychotic and syphilitic manifestation never suppressed on its own naturally. Psoric manifestation can be suppressed naturally, but psychosis and syphilis cannot be suppressed naturally. This may be an MCQ question in your exam also, that what are the benefits of external manifestation or primary manifestation of psychosis and syphilis. Until analysis is suppressed by external treatment, it is not going to be suppressed naturally, but psoric manifestation can be suppressed easily and naturally. Okay, now that was another point we forgot to deal with, that is why I added. Now the internal disease on the contrary continues in spite of it gradually to increase, and nature is constrained to enlarge and aggravate the local symptom always more and more. You will see that psoriasis patient with a patch, untreated psoriasis patient with a patch is going to have lots of patches and lots of area of the skins are affected over the time. Okay, if it is not being treated. Psoriasis is very difficult disease to cure. Robert is telling that is a marriage of all three miasm: psora, syphilis, and psychosis. It is not only psoric disease, but marriage of all three miasm. It is very difficult to cure. Once it is cured with the external ointment by allopathic, it have the tendency to reverse back, coming out again. With the homeopathy also, it will remains, it will diminish and comes back again. So psoriasis is very difficult disease to cure. But what is happening? You when you saw the patient was having a single patch. Okay, you left the patient untreated. If the patient is left untreated, it is bound to increase the area of the skin. Okay, why it is increasing? Because it was the disease was not diminished or cured by the external manifestation, but it was just an effort to allay, it was just an effort to allay the internal ailment by the vital force. Okay, nature is constrained. See the nature n, n is capital. Okay, in organon lots of things are there. If you read carefully, those signs and commas are enough to let you understand what this means. Nature, here nature you can call a god, supreme power. Okay, that is why n capital has been used. Nature has been used in a noun form. Nature is constrained to enlarge and aggravate the local symptom always more and more, in order that it may still suffice as a substitute for an increased internal disease and still keep it under. Old ulcer on the leg get worse as long as internal psora is uncured. The chancre enlarges as long as the internal syphilis is uncured. The fig wart increases and grow while the psychosis is not cured, whereby the latter is rendered more and more difficult to cure. Just as the general internal disease continue to increases as time goes. Okay, it have to increase the area of affection externally as the internal disease is increasing. In the very beginning, it has told in the very beginning of the aphorism, it has been told that internal disease is neither diminishing not being cured by external manifestation, but external manifestation is a try by the nature to quell the internal disease, and it will increase again and again. Okay, so internal disease is increasing, external disease will be increased. Clear? Now 202. If the old physician should now destroy the local symptom, what will happen? What will happen if the old physician destroy the local symptom? Underline this: by topical what will happen? Under the belief that he thereby cures the whole disease, underline, nature makes up for its loss by rousing the internal malady. Now external manifestation can be suppressed. What will happen? Underline this. Nature makes up for its loss by rousing the internal malady. Okay? And other symptom that previously existed in a latent side by side with the local affection. That is to say, she increases the internal diseases. She increases the internal disease. When it occurs, it is usually to say, though incorrectly, that local affection has been driven back. Okay, underline this. Local affection has been driven back into the system or upon the nerve by the external remedies. Underline this. Now, where it will go, we have discussed a suppression may result in asthma, a suppression may result in liver affection, a suppression may result in kidney disease, a suppression may result in epilepsy. Where it will go depends upon the vitality of the organism. Okay, where it will go, this depends upon the vitality of the organism. Okay, now 203, every external treatment of such local symptom, the object of which is to remove them from the surface of the body, while the internal miasmatic disease is left uncured, as for instance driving off the skin, the psoric eruption by all sort of ointment, burning away the chancre by caustics, and destroying the condylomata on their seat by knife. Okay, remember leukorrhea also is an external manifestation. Okay, you will see the cases nowadays also. Cauterization for leukorrhea, they are doing an operation for leukorrhea called cauterization. Okay, and they are telling that this will diminish leukorrhea, but after the suppression of leukorrhea, many things will happen with the patient. Okay, after this suppression, many things will be happening with the patient that she don't know that it was due to suppression of that leukorrhea. With your medicine, if the discharges are coming back, okay, warn your patient if those discharges will come back. What does this mean? Don't disturb that discharge and you will be cured. Okay, you will see patient the bad effect of cauterization. What is the medicine? One of the medicine for bad effect of cauterization is nitric acid. Bad effect of cauterization, one of the medicine is nitric acid. Okay, you will see this in boric. Okay, in boric, open chapter acid nitric and you will find it, bad effect of cauterization. So there are suppression also. When we will read suppression from Roberts, there are some other kind of suppression also. Surgical suppression, removal of lipoma. Lipoma is what? Lipoma is also an external disease. Removal with the knife, what it will do? Removal of the fibroid, removal of uterus, hysterectomy, it is also a kind of suppression. Okay, removal of stones. Okay, we have discussed the removal of gallstone and what should be our procedure in that. We have discussed some in some previous classes that gallstone removal is also a psychotic suppression, fibroid removal is also a psychotic suppression, removal of uterus, the organ affected, is also a suppression, removal of any cancer tissue is also a suppression. So what should be your treatment of choice in that cases where you have no other choice? Okay, suppose external cancer, myosarcoma is there on the thigh and you are removing it. Okay, there was no option to but to remove because the disease was enhancing and there was no time left and you removed it once, the disease may go back into internal economy. Okay, this is also a kind of suppression. Removal of fibroid is also a kind of suppression. Removal of a stone, gallstone is also a kind of suppression, but you have no other option left but to remove that. So what should be your treatment of choice in that? We have discussed before in some classes that in the gallstone, in cases of gallstone where you are advising your patient to remove that gallstone, because it is constantly irritating the part. It is constantly irritating the gallbladder, and that gallbladder carcinoma may develop due to this secondary irritation of the gallstone. But you have removed that gallstone without treating your patient homeopathically. So treat your patient homeopathically. When the disease is vestigial, remove it. Can't have a concept for pathology. Okay. What Kent is telling, that sometime under your treatment, the pathology becomes vestigial, and then only their removal can be prompted. Okay, under your treatment, gallstone uh, is not diminishing or not vanishing from there, but you know the disease has been cured, and now gallstone is vestigial there, and you should remove that. Okay, sebaceous cyst, under your treatment, years of treatment, uh, it has been cured, but the pathology is there. So pathology is becoming vestigial there. You can remove treatment. Okay, but not before your homeopathic treatment. Clear? So this is destroying the pathology. This not only external manifestation but internal manifestations also. Internal pathology is also destroying. Okay, they will say that nephrolithiasis, once you remove the stone from the kidney, it is all okay. But why the stone is again forming? They will say that no, this is diathesis that forming the stone. Modern school is accepting this concept that this is the diathesis which is forming the stone and again, and patient is barred from certain kind of food and beverage, that this will prompt the stone in the kidney. Okay, there is no other cure. When a stone has been formed, you have to remove it with surgery according to modern school, or with other medications also. But with our treatment, what we are doing, we are trying to cure the disease, so that that pathology cannot be formed again. We are trying what? We are trying to cure the disease. Okay, we are not trying to cure the pathology. Okay, so removal of a stone is also a kind of suppression. When we will read from Robert, we will see that how many kinds of suppression are there. Now, every external treatment of such local symptom, the object of which is to remove them from surface of the body, while the internal miasmatic disease is left uncured. For instance, driving of the skin or eruption by all sorts of ointment, burning away the chancre by caustic, and destroying the condylomata on the receipt by knife, the ligature or actual cautery. This pernicious external mode of treatment, hitherto so universally practiced, has been the most prolific source of all the innumerable named or unnamed chronic maladies under which the mankind groans. Underline this. This is a question in MCQ often asked in your examination, that what is the most prolific source of all the chronic maladies? This suppression is of the external manifestation is most prolific source of all the numerable, countable and uncountable chronic maladies. Okay, now we have added to it other pathologies also, pathologies of lipoma, pathologies of gallstone, pathologies of nephrolithiasis, pathology of fibroids, pathology of breast tumor. Okay, breast tumor is also, you will see that they are removing fibroid adenoma. You will see that they are removing the glands. Okay, the chronic lymphadenitis they are removing. You will see that they are removing the tonsils. Okay, nowadays even those who are good ENT doctors, they won't advise removal of these tonsils. Okay, what is the concept behind? Okay, that is why I always say that you should be very clear about the concept of disease in homeopathy. It is not your tonsil which is sick, it is you which is sick. If you are removing your tonsil, the journey of disease will not stop. You have removed the chair of the disease, you have removed the seat of the disease. The disease is bound to travel to some other part. Okay, that is why I always say that you should have a good concept of disease in homeopathy. What is disease in homeopathy? It is not your tonsil which is sick. So why you are going to advise to remove the tonsils? until and unless it is very necessary. Okay, if it is so and so that cancerous has become cancerous and there is no time left but to remove it, then it is another question. But concept of disease should be that it should not be removed without the internal cure of the disease. Okay, and in the course of disease you will say the pathology, you will see the pathology may reverse back. But if it is not reversing back, if it is not reversing back, that means what? The pathology have become vestigial there and you can remove that too. Now cases of PCOD, you will see polycystic ovarian disease. Lots of cases of PCOD I have seen in last 3-4 years. There are two things in a disease. Patient is having a complaint, patient is having a pathology. Clear? Patient is having a complaint and patient is having a pathology. Okay, now suppose there is a pathology inside PCOD. What are the complaint of the patient in PCOD? What will be the complaint of the patient? Hirsutism. Okay, hirsutism, irregular menses or amenorrhea. Okay, acanthosis nigricans. Okay, gaining weight, weight gain. Okay, these will be the complaint of the patient. And what is the pathology? Pathology is PCOD. Okay, under your treatment, first thing what will happen to the patient, that menses will be regular, menses are going to regular, weights are going to manageable, acanthosis nigricans is decreasing slightly and slowly, hirsutism is decreasing. All these complaints did a pathology, US, all the complaint have gone, but pathology is still there. Okay, so pathology will take time to reverse back. What is PCOD? Polycystic ovarian disease. There are cysts, on the ovaries, and that is taking time to reverse back. Okay, now if the pathology is there, it will become vestigial. You may order, if it is troubling, if this pathology is troubling, you may order a removal of that. Until but when your complaints are okay, when your complaints are okay, so those two things are there. Understood? I hope you have understood. Now coming back, to our basic what we were discussing here. Okay, it is one of the most criminal procedure. It is the most 203. It is the most, one of the most criminal procedure in the medicinal world can be guilty of, and the medical world can be guilty of, and yet it has hitherto been one generally adopted and taught from the professional chair as the only one. Okay, you have read the dictum in surgery also, where there is pus, remove it. Okay, like that, where there is external eruption, give the ointment. Where there is a pathology, cut it out. Okay, so this has been taught, still prevalent in modern days also. Okay, now 204, we will stop here. With 204 we will stop. If we deduct all the chronic affections, ailments and disease that depend on persistent unhealthy mode of living, if we deduct all the chronic affection, ailment and disease that depend upon persistent unhealthy mode of living, that is inappropriately named chronic disease, aphorism number 77, as also those innumerable medicinal maladies, number 74, caused by irrational persistent harassing, pernicious treatment of disease, often only by trivial character by physician of the old school. All the remainder. Two exceptions Hahnemann have given and forgot to give the third exception. We have discussed this in previous lectures. Some initial lectures we have discussed this. Here, everywhere Hahnemann is giving three exceptions. One exception is inappropriately named chronic disease. Other exception was medicinal disease, that is artificial disease, and the third exception was surgical disease. Open aphorism number 13 and you will get aphorism number 13. Therefore, diseases that does not come within the province of manual surgery. Okay, fracture, external injuries, blows, okay, all these that are not coming under province of cut, surgical cuts, or laceration, or any external injuries. Province of manual surgery. Okay, not coming under province. What is surgical disease? We have discussed somewhere else. Follow that lecture. Now, so third exceptions we are adding here. Hahnemann forgot to add here in 204 the third, or it is as usual because it has been discussed again and again. So Hahnemann then thought of discussing it again here, but we should add this third exception here also. Most of the remainder in 5th edition, Hahnemann is telling all the remainder, but in 6th edition, Hahnemann is telling most of the remainder. That means what? That means what? There are diseases, miasms, more than those who are telling that there are 23 miasms, 24 miasms, they are making this point only. Okay, all of the remainder in 5th edition, read all the remainder without exception result from development of 3 chronic miasms, psoriasis, syphilis, and psychosis. But in bracket of the 6th edition, I is telling most of the remainder. That means there may be a miasm beyond this psoriasis, syphilis, and psychosis. Okay, that is why people are telling there are 4 miasm, 5 miasm, 6 miasm, or 10 miasm, 23 miasms, and this and that. Okay. So, but for our understanding, we have discussed how many miasm you should take. We should take. We have discussed somewhere else when we were dealing with chronic miasm. Follow that lecture. Without exception, those are from psoriasis, syphilis, and psychosis, but chiefly an infinitely greater proportion by internal psora, each of which was already in possession of the whole organism. Now underline this: had penetrated in all direction before the appearance of primary vicarious local symptom of each of them. Okay, moment of infection, we have read it from chronic disease, that what is the process of development of chronic disease. There is a moment of infection, there is a moment of impermeation of the whole organism, and there is a moment of external manifestation. Okay, had penetrated in all direction, underline this, before the appearance of the primary vicarious local symptom of each of them, that prevented their outburst, and these chronic miasmatic disease, if deprived of their local symptom, are inevitably destined by nature sooner or later to become developed and to burst forth. Underline this, to burst forth. Okay, now we will discuss from here onward in the next class. If you have any question, you can ask. If you have any question, you can ask. We will discuss from here onward 204, 5, 6, and 7. These are important organisms. We will aphorisms we will discuss in the later classes. If you have any question, you can ask. You can ask here also, you can ask in the group also, or you can ask personally. You can ping me on WhatsApp also. Okay. So I think you have no question to ask. Thank you for giving your attention for 1 hour. Sorry for 45 minutes. We have taken our class for 45 minutes today. Okay, thank you.